It was tough then, it's tougher now. I mean, Spain, 25% unemployment. It was totally worth it though, it was a great place to live. But you tend to run into kind of the cost of living versus, how much you make there. So you're gonna make between 15 to 20 euros an hour probably. So then you're teaching 15 to 20 hours, or maybe 25 hours a week. I mean, if you want to do 40 hours, you can do that. You'll definitely burn out at some point. You'll be very tired. But you can definitely make it work if you're kind of really motivated to, make money.
How long do you usually spend on average in each contract? What's the minimum assignment?
Usually they're a year, an academic year, meaning like 9 months. So if you get a contract, it'll probably be for that amount of time, especially if the school is going to sponsor you for example, a visa, subsidize your plane to get there. They usually require a year. Business is a little different because they don't have academic years, they're contracts. So then you have a little more flexibility. But I'd say a year, but academic year is pretty much the average contract. Yeah.
How about working with the absolute beginners? Like, is that contracts longer because it just gives a longer time?
Not necessarily because I guess they kind of expect, you can always get your contract renewed, but it usually still will be a year, just because they'll expect that you'll know by then if you want to stay and then you can renew it. But it's really more based on the hiring cycle, so they'll tend to hire, schools will tend to hire teachers in August, September for the school year if it starts, if you're in the northern hemisphere, and it's flipped if you're in the southern hemisphere. So they just want to make sure somebody's there for the entire, because it's very hard for them to replace teachers in the middle of the academic year. Right? They've got to scramble to find substitutes. And it does happen, teachers come and they're like, this isn't for me, and they take off and they break their contract out in the middle of the time. So the contracts...
How does that work when you break a contract? Like, can you let you, lock
Well,
things
if
out?
it is your visa, then yeah, your visa would probably become invalid if that happened, right? Unless you got another job, but sometimes your job is tied to, or your visa is tied to working for that company. Other times it could just be you got the visa and it's good for a certain amount of time, even if you leave that company, you still have the visa. And you can go work for someone else. It totally depends on the country. So every country is different.
Based on your experiences, are these jobs mostly, or this market, ESL market, is it mostly working for schools or companies, or can you go and do independent work yourself?
Yeah, we talk about freelance teaching too, and usually that's business. I'd say about 70%, very broad, these are language schools. So schools that just teach students foreign languages and nothing else. And so we don't really have them here as much, but here you could have Kaplan teach ESL courses. The other school I was talking about, my friend works, is called EF, Education First. Their website's ef.com.
Is it education first or English first?
Education First. They're actually based in Scandinavia, and they have a network of schools, languages, centers around the world. But then every country has their own, language centers. They're basically small businesses, and they've created branches and franchises around the country. So Taiwan, for example, has one called, the one I taught at for a while was called Jiayin. They'll have funny names. Some of them have like mascots, like a giraffe. It looks like the one from Toys R Us or something. So those ones are geared, usually towards primary or, kindergarten students. Then you also have centers for adults. There's one called Wall Street English, which is all over the world, mostly in Europe. And they teach ESL to adults, but it's another chain. It started in one, I don't know where it started, but now it's international. So these are called language schools. They just specialize in teaching foreign languages, usually English. Then there's the other 30% are made up of companies that hire teachers to teach their employees. So you'd be working for the company. Or you could do that freelance, and we talk about kind of how you get started in being a freelance ESL teacher. There's full curriculum, public or private schools. I taught one of these in Taiwan, so it's just like teaching at a public school here, which usually the requirements are a little higher. at least the BA and a certificate. Here, you know, if you want to teach in a public school here, you have to get a teaching credential, which is what, a year? You know, that's an involved thing. But usually it's not that case in other countries, but it totally varies, right? You could, with a BA and a certificate, I was able to teach in Taiwan, but I wouldn't be able to do that in France or Germany, right? Their requirements would be a little stricter in terms of what their teachers needed, how qualified they were. So, did I answer someone's question? I kind of got off on a tangent, so did anyone else have another question about the job?
Yeah, the language schools.
Yes.
How do we assess the language schools ourselves?
Well, LCC helps you, so they'll tell you,
Okay,
you
but
can
you-
research them online,
yes, okay.
which is the best way to do it, because there'll be boards where teachers will post, you know, don't work here, oh, you should work there. On LinkedIn, they have a lot of ESL groups. I would join LinkedIn.
Yeah.
If you haven't already, LinkedIn.com. They have a group called ESL International. So a group for professional ESL teachers all over the world, so they're posting tips, you know, for getting hired